here's Brody Brazil.
Well, once again, a very busy trade deadline day across Major League Baseball. Certainly some surprises and moves that nobody could have seen coming, but also a handful of transactions that were predictable even as recently as last night. I'm talking about Mason Miller, who was on the A's, now is on the Padres. J.P. Sears also part of this transaction too, but last night the A's had a game where there was a save situation. Miller stayed out there in the bullpen. They didn't bring him into the contest. It led a lot of people to thinking and wondering that he might be on the trading block. Turns out he was. He and Sears both headed south to San Diego. So the A's closer and one of their premier starters, one of their most consistent and most productive starters in recent years, both headed to the Padres. Obviously, San Diego trying to make another extreme push. And we'll talk about the deal versus the overall theme and big picture of this Athletics franchise. That's why you're also seeing the owner here, John Fisher, depicted. Also, I should mention, in terms of being depicted, that's a Photoshop job, clearly, on Mason Miller and J.P. Sears. Those heads, they don't exactly match the bodies. And I give full marks to the Padres social media team. Sometimes you're in a rush. It's all you can do. It's the best you can do. But sometimes the colors look fine. Like the skin tones are okay, but the heads and dimensions and body sizes, and maybe it's just because I know these guys and I've seen them firsthand. When you really stare at that Photoshop, it doesn't match. But whatever. They're already in Padres jerseys that they've never actually worn. Okay, the trade versus the trend. That's what this video is all about. Aesthetically, in terms of the trade, it's not a bad deal for the A's. The Padres receive, obviously, Mason Miller, the righty, and the lefty J.P. Sears. Miller this year sporting a 3.76 ERA. I won't put the win-loss record in for either pitcher because that's a team stat, and the team isn't doing great. But individually, a 3.76 ERA, 20 saves, basically around half the team's wins have been saved by the righty Mason Miller this year. J.P. Sears in a starting role has made 22 starts, a 4.95 ERA. He's completed 111 innings pitched. Now, I'm also not including wins and losses for him, but I also want to let you know, each of the last 2 years, the prior 2 years, J.P. Sears made all of his starts. I think he got to 32 each of the last 2 seasons in Oakland. Yes, I can say in Oakland because that's where he was pitching. But this year, 22 starts, obviously on pace for about that 30-plus start plateau here in 2025. So consistent pitchers that the Padres will need and love and enjoy for this year and beyond. Both of those players still under team control for a lot of years. I'll talk about that in a second. But what the A's get in return, it is a haul. It is definitely a haul, and it's highlighted and headlined by the shortstop, Leodalis De Vries, the number 3 overall prospect in Major League Baseball. Not just the Padres organization or the National League. The number 3 overall prospect in baseball is the centerpiece of this deal coming back for the A's. Now, no disrespect to the other 3 pitchers here, the righty Braden Nett, the righty Henry Báez, and the righty Eduarniel Nuñez, both highly touted, number 3, number 13, and number 17 overall in the San Diego prospect pipeline. So the A's getting a bunch of talented players back in return, but they're just getting younger. They're trading known commodities for more players that they hope will work out. And how many times have we seen this before? The A's have done this for more than a decade consistently now. Take 2 players who you know can contribute to your team and help your team win, and maybe if you get 1 or 2, and if you're really lucky, 3 of these names to really turn out, to really pan out, then it's going to be another one of those good deals down the road. Right here, right now, if you're the A's, you just took yourself out of winning a lot more games this year and probably next year. We'll get to that in just a second. But I also want to just highlight De Vries here for just a second because this is the centerpiece of the deal. He's 18 years old. He's a switch-hitting shortstop. Lindor-like, Correa-like. Those are the comps for this young 18-year-old shortstop who's currently playing in High A. He's going to go play for the Lansing Lugnuts, the single-A team in the A's organization. But back when the Padres got him, he was signed as a number 1 overall international prospect in Major League Baseball. I've talked to some people that would know better than anybody else. They've seen him play. They understand his talents. The hopes are very high for Leodalis De Vries. But he's also 18 years old playing in single-A. I say that in two ways. Number one, he's exceeding expectations because not a lot of 18-year-olds in single-A baseball, but at the same respect, it's a lot of years until he's a finished product, and you still don't exactly know how that's going to turn out. From Baseball America, here's the scouting report. Shows advanced plate skills and good angles on contact. At present, like at 18 years old, he lacks average or better raw power, but his projectable frame hints at future above average pop. Defensively, he's considered a pure shortstop with the fluidity and body control to be an above average to plus defender. I wish I could read better. You understand, hopefully, what I'm saying here. It's all very much raw potential right now with certainly the ceiling and the expectation of something very high. So not a bad deal. Even with De Vries alone, that's kind of the highlight and that's kind of the gist of this trade. And you don't see a prospect that highly ranked traded very often, and that means something, right? The A's had to give up something to get something back, but it's not the trade. Again, it's the theme. The trade's fine. The trade just kicks the can down the road. But that's what the A's have always been doing. It's the theme of the trade. The A's right now 48-63. That means they're on pace for a 70-92 record season. That's +1 wins from last year. So did they improve? Did they get better? Are their young players making a difference? I know they've called up Wilson. They've called up Kurtz. They're doing impressive things. More on them in just a second. But Mason Miller, you had a player who was an all-star, again, a known commodity, who was pre-arbitration. Mason Miller won't be a free agent until 2030. And if your idea is to be the Athletics and to go to Las Vegas and play the 2028 season on the Strip, well, you have team control over Mason Miller until 2030. You can have him for the 28 and 29 seasons closing games. Not only that, you can have him be part of the excitement of 26 and 27, when you should be ramping up, when you should be expanding your roster and winning a bunch of games in Sacramento, because the hype has to happen before the team actually arrives in Las Vegas. More on that in just a second. I don't want to get too far ahead of my main points, but you also have J.P. Sears, again, the team's only consistent starter, 86 starts under his belt since the beginning of the 2023 season, but even he would not be a free agent until the 2029 campaign. So you've got players that are under team control, that are known commodities that you did not have to get rid of. A lot of times when there's 1 year left, maybe 2 years left, that's when you think about making a move. The A's are so premature in moving these players compared to the team control they have over them. Now, I also realize a lot of people think that Mason Miller and the amount of arm injuries he's previously sustained, that would be an issue. But look, he was a starter. They moved him into the bullpen. They made him the closer after the 2023 season. It was very clear that his stuff was electric, and if you condensed it into 1 inning at a time, and even if you didn't use him on back-to-back games or occasions, he'd still be very valuable for you. Throwing 103, 104 miles an hour, his stuff, it plays well, and it plays on any team. The problem is, for the A's, now it's on the Padres. So again, a known commodity in Miller as the centerpiece from the A's side. And what do you get out of this? Only future pieces, really. It's the same old story. It's not the trade. It's the theme and the trend of what's going on here. It's not the names and actual talents of this trade. It's the concept that the flips keep happening. Again, I'll point this out. Does this trade mean that the A's are going to be better in 26 and 27? Did they become a better team for the next 2 years? Not likely. You have to be good soon. You cannot just think that you'll flip a switch and all of a sudden in 2028, the payroll's going to go up, your player talents are going to go up. It's just not going to happen that way. There has to be a ramp up. The ramp up should be starting right now. And instead of that happening, it's going the opposite direction. And no disrespect to Miguel Andujar, but I also realize that he is a player of a different ilk that does not really belong in this conversation, going to the Cincinnati Reds. That's different. That's a player who does not fit in your next couple years necessarily. But Sears and Miller absolutely do. So the A's are what? Always going to just be 2 to 3 years away? And that'll be the thing of, well, we'll just keep flipping this for a couple more years. At some point, we're past the point now where you can still be flipping and think that you're going to time out and hit Las Vegas at a perfect timing. Or maybe they won't be there by 2028. Maybe they know it's a 2029 thing or beyond. I mean, are Wilson or Kurtz or Butler or De Vries, are they next? Like, Leo De Vries is 18. He better not be flipped next. He hasn't even arrived at the show yet. But my point is, where does this end? This was supposed to have already ended. And as I said on social media, as soon as I saw this, zebras just don't change their stripes. This is not a situation where things are going to change overnight. The A's will decide to keep these players and sign Mason Miller to a deal. Look, they kept Brent Rooker, signed him to a longer-term contract, signed Lawrence Butler to, I want to say, was that another 6-year deal? So they have committed to some, but here are 2 players under team control. Could have just kept them, but instead decided to play the future route, and I'm not sure what this means for the next couple of years. I said I really wasn't going to make a lot of A's videos in terms of the actual baseball team, but I don't really think this is a baseball team type video. This is a team just continuing to do what they've always done, kick the can down the road, take known commodities and flip them for the hope of a future. Let me know what you think about all this in the comments section below. Thumbs up on this video. That greatly helps me, the video, and the channel. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. I would love to see you back here next time.